Hey folks, this is Derek, and this is a quick tutorial on how to generate many documents from a single dataset. We live in a world with a lot of data. Some of us have gargantuan datasets with hundreds of rows and columns. But the problem is that humans, or at least some people, are not always the best at reading data from a spreadsheet. We like to have things that show up in kind of a document format. So how can you generate human-readable documents from a data set? I'm going to show you a tutorial on how to do this, and we're going to use a function called a mail merge. If you do an internet search, maybe with DuckDuckGo, for mail merge with Google Documents, it returns example plugins like this one. Here's a add-on for Google Docs, literally called Mail Merge for Google Docs, and I've installed it on my computer. I'm going to use this to take this data set, which has about 21 entries, and turn it into a series of 23 documents where I'm filling in the gaps in all these fields with the data showing up in my rows and columns. So what does that look like? Well, I have my template. I have a document that I want to use to represent this data, and I'm going to click on the Mail Merge button that now shows up as an add-on for Google Docs, and I'm going to say I want to make a letter. I'm going to choose the current document that I'm working on, although I could start from a template. And the first thing it's going to ask me to do is to select the data set that I care about. So I'm going to select a spreadsheet. In this case, it's going to be the most recent spreadsheet that I've been working on, something that I'm calling landscapes data. It takes a couple of seconds to load. You need to give permissions for your Google Docs for the plugin to be able to access your Google Docs or Google Files information. But I'm going to select a spreadsheet and load it up. Next, I'm going to start entering in the fields, otherwise known as the columns in my data set, into the document. So, for example, I have a column somewhere here called general description. Here we go. So column N has my data about general description, and I've got about 23 entries into this column. Going back to my template, I decide I want to put the general description into this text box. So I'm going to click on Insert a Merge field, and here you can see all the titles for the columns of my spreadsheet listed. And I'm going to pick group description, or I guess I could have done general description. There we go. I can format how this will look. So in this case, I don't want it to be bold and big. I just want it to be normal sized. And you can see that I've already done this for other fields that are important in this data set. So I've inserted the name of columns into this spreadsheet. And now when I start the mail merge, it'll basically recreate this document as many times as there are rows in the document. So if I have 21 rows of data, I should get 21 documents out of it. So I'm going to click Start Mail Merge, and it's going to start doing this process of reading my Google Doc, inserting the data that I've collected, and then generating a document from it. And it might take a couple of minutes to generate this because this is a 10-page document, and there are 23 rows with a lot of data. So I'm going to hit pause for a moment and then come back. Oh, I don't even need to do it. Our documents are ready. So I'm going to open the Google Doc. And now you will see that where before there was just a placeholder for the data from my data set, now the information has been filled in. And of course, if there's a little bit of formatting issues. That's to be expected because this is the data coming from a spreadsheet, right? And as I scroll down, you can see that it started out with the first row from my data set, but, oh, and this is a very large file. This is probably more than 100 pages. But if I go down a little bit further, here we go. Now here's the second version of this document, and the second landscape is showing up. And if I continued scrolling down, you'd see 21 different documents, each coming from a row in this data set. So what does this mean? This means that you can rapidly generate human-readable documents from a spreadsheet, probably much more rapidly than if you tried to copy and paste the data from your spreadsheet into a Word document. In general, if you have a big data set and you want to do a lot of things with it, maybe generate Word documents from it, or upload this data into a website, or visualize the data, it makes a lot of sense to have your primary data source be some sort of a tabular spreadsheet that you can then incorporate into a mail merge function, or upload, or something like that, rather than have it live as an unstructured Word document. So follow these steps and you can save yourself a lot of time in generating products from your data. All right, thanks for watching.